here for our Week 11 value picks. Here in this quick hitter video, we're going to go over some of the best plays on the slate to go ahead and save some salary. These guys are obviously going to have some high ceilings, as these are plays catered towards GPP type contests, but they're obviously going to have relatively high floors as well. So with that being said, let's hop right on into it. First off, for the Browns, we have David Njoku at $2,900. Doesn't have the best matchup this week, especially because we consider the Browns to be one of the most run-heavy teams, particularly in this type of game script. But at a 10-point projection is popping in terms of points per dollar. David Njoku was $4,000, even $5,500 just a few weeks before that in terms of pricing, and now finds himself towards the bottom of the tight end board. For me, it just really comes down to that value. Is somebody who has not been afraid of showing the ceiling in the past as well, with over a 40-point performance already on this year. Next up, we have Danny Amendola, somebody who's made this list quite a few times this year, is seemingly always underpriced, and particularly now that there's an injury opening here on the Texans. So not only was he already a starter for this team, with the injuries that they have on this offense, is going to see an even bigger role here in Week 11. The matchup against the Titans is also very nice. They're one of the worst secondaries in the entire NFL. They're also a team that lets up a relatively large amount of points. So for me, I really like Tyrod Taylor in this instance, and especially somebody like Danny Amendola at $3,100 who provides a ton of salary flexibility. Next up, we have Gerald Everett of the Seattle Seahawks. Just like Russell Wilson, I expect him to also have a very nice game this week. This Cardinals defense has been stout to this point of the year. The only problem is that they have a ton of injuries to deal with on defense. This is also a team that is likely to be without Kyler Murray at quarterback. And with all things being said, I do expect Russell Wilson to have a relatively big bounce back week this week. So at 10.8 projected points, not a surprise that he makes my pull here, and definitely somebody I'll be using as value at the tight end position. Next up, we have Marcus Johnson at $3,500. That matchup against the Texans isn't anything that's going to be popping off the board, just like we saw with Danny Amendola. These are two teams that let up a relatively large amount of points, and I think it's a sneaky good matchup to target. Both of these offenses have been clicking of late, particularly the Texans now that they have Tyrod Taylor back at the helm. I expect to see even more progression from that offense. So Marcus Johnson, somebody that will be starting in this game because Julio Jones is sidelined. I expect him to get at least 7 to 8 targets here, and if he's able to cash in for a deep play, is going to pay off that price tag. We saw that last week, had a 50-yard reception. And again, somebody who's shown that upside in the past, even in a limited snap load. And now that he's going to see at least 70, maybe even 80% of snaps in this game, is going to have more than enough opportunity to go out and make a splash. Next up, we have Rondale Moore at $4,200. He's on the other side of that Seattle Seahawks game, obviously filling in for somebody like DeAndre Hopkins, who will be missing in this game. Rondale Moore is somebody who's extremely efficient when he gets the looks. He's only seen about 45% of snaps to this point of the year, but when he gets on the field is absolutely electric. One of the best players in the NFL in terms of yards after catch, is also extremely explosive on punt returns, kick returns, that kind of thing. So you know the kind of upside that he brings to the table every single time he gets a touch. So for him to get a 30, even 40% uptick in terms of his snap share, that is going to pay huge dividends. This was already somebody who was worth taking shots on in large field GPPs just because of that big play upside. But now that he's likely to play 75, even 80% of snaps for this offense, becomes an absolute smash play. I'm going to have a ton of Rondale Moore in my player pool. Definitely brings a lot of volatility to the table, so I'm not sure if you want to go ahead and play him on cash, but for GPP type formats is exactly what we're looking for. And now finally, at number one, our best value play on this slate, that is going to be Michael Gallup at $4,200. We'll be filling in for Amari Cooper this week, who is down with an injury for at least this week, probably at least a few more weeks as well. This is a great matchup against the Chiefs team. We already talked about Dak Prescott as one of my favorite targets for this week on my Core Plays video, but Michael Gallup at $4,200 filling in as the number 2 wide receiver is in a smash spot as well. We expect Dak Prescott to go out, throw 3 or 4 touchdowns. I expect 1 or maybe even 2 of them to go Gallup's way. So at a 13.6 point projection, you're not going to go wrong here. Same price tag as somebody like Rondale Moore. I do think that they bring similar upside to the table in terms of 25, potentially even a 30-point ceiling. Gallup's just going to get a few more targets. He's also going to see a higher snap share. So for me, the better play, but I love going to both options, potentially even both together in a few lineups. That's all I've got for the quick value plays video. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments who you have this week as your favorite value play. Always love to hear from you guys. Always love to get some debate going down there. So go ahead and let me know who you've got. And as always, I appreciate all of your support here on the channel, an absolute ton. If you guys haven't already liked the video, if you haven't already gone and subscribed to the channel, really highly recommend you guys go ahead and do so. That way you guys don't miss any of the content we have coming out in the future. Of course, we're going to have our weekly DFS live stream Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. That's where we have that live stream every single week. We cover the player pool, we cover ownership, cover any live questions that you guys have down in the chat, make some lineups together, pretty much go over everything you guys need to know before lock. That'll be from 11:30 a.m. Eastern time to right about 12:15 a.m. Eastern time. So make sure to check out the link in the description so you guys don't go ahead and miss that. But until then, good luck with all of your lineups and peace.